Hey Noville fans, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Dad. Here I got something from my childhood, and this is chicken and dressing. Now this ain't the traditional chicken and dressing that you're thinking about, which is a Thanksgiving dish. This here was a meal in itself, and my grandmother, she would cook this for us, and always bring over a pan just like this, and I would eat on this for 2 or 3 days, and it was just a great and wonderful dish that I remember when I was young. And my mom would always fix it, and I would eat it, and it was good. So let me show you how this is made. So the first thing we do is make some cornbread. I got 2 cups of cornmeal, egg, a little bit of oil, some milk, give it a stir. I took a skillet, put some Crisco in it, popped it in the oven for about 5 or 6 minutes for everything to melt. That's what you want right there, a nice hot skillet with some grease in there. Let's put our batter in it. Going into the oven, 425, about 25 minutes. Got about a gallon of water boiling. Now I'm going to work on my aromatics. I've got a medium-sized onion. Now all I'm going to do is just do a rough slice on it. Nothing fancy. Onion in the water. Now I got 2 ribs of celery. Just a rough cut on these things. Into the water. So I've got a couple of things of chicken here. I got maybe a couple of breasts in there. I've got 6 thighs. All I'm going to do is open them up, stick them in the water. Now, you want that skin and you want the bones on that. That's going to help flavor this broth up. So don't skip out on that. Don't be getting that boneless, skinless chicken. The only boneless, skinless I have here is the breasts, because the thighs themselves will produce enough flavor off their skin and bones. Chicken breasts in the water. Here I seem to have 2 big uns, and I mean big uns. We're going to let that cook for about 30-40 minutes until the chicken is tender and we can be able to shred it. Let's go check on the cornbread, see if it's done. Oh yeah. It's done. Nice and golden brown. And if you have a good proper skillet, no, none stick, baby. That's what it's all about. Let this sit and cool. I think the chicken is done now, boiling. So we're going to go ahead and take it out and let it sit in a bowl and cool down. And once we do that, we'll come back and start shredding the chicken up. Now, when I say shredding the chicken, you don't necessarily want to shred it to where it's really, really tiny and fine. You want to kind of break them up into big chunks. And the broth here, I will take it and I will drain it so we don't have any of those big chunks of onion and celery in there. And then we'll start putting everything together. But we're going to let this chicken cool down for a little bit, and we'll bring you back in when it's time to start breaking it up. So I'm going to start getting this stuff broken down here. Here's my big old bowl of broth that I've strained, and it almost became too much. And I'm probably not going to use all of that. I may use only a third of it probably, but we'll see how much there is. But I'll freeze whatever's left over. So I'm going to go through here and just start breaking up some of this chicken breast that's into slightly smaller chunks. Again, I want some body. I'm not going to break it down too small, because I'm going to take this chicken and I'm going to line the bottom of my pan with it. I know some people like to mix it in once they get everything mixed together, but I think for me, I want to have it lined at the bottom, and that way I know I'm going to have some good bites of chicken, good bites of dressing whenever I get it put together. For the thighs themselves, we want to remove the skin. We do not want the skin, and we do not want the bones in our chicken dressing. The best part. Good. That gave me a lot more chicken than what I thought I had. Maybe I'll eliminate some of that. Now we come to the fun part. I've got about five slices of bread, and I'm going to sit here and break up into little pieces. It's going to take a while. The bread's broken up, that's done. Now I'm going to take my cornbread, which has cooled. I'm going to dump that right in there. And now I'm going to just take it and break it up. This will go quickly, since cornbread is already crumbly anyways. Plus, well, cornbread's good. Now that it's crumbled up, just mix it with those breadcrumbs. Mix, 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 breaking up the cornbread. Now we're going to add our seasoning. I've got in here some onion powder, some salt, some pepper. I'm going to stick about maybe half of that mixture in there. It's about maybe a tablespoon of each. Now we're going to add our sage. Now I like my dressing very sagey, so I'm going to add a lot. I would say probably half of this bottle. Now this is a half ounce. This is a half ounce bottle. So a quarter of an ounce of sage, thereabouts. That's about probably half of that bottle there. Mix it around. Let's just add some more. Why not? So another few sprinkles of that in there. We used up 3/4 of the bottle. Now I'm carefully start ladling some of this broth in here. Now the texture you want on this is you want it to be pretty wet. Not necessarily soupy, but you do want it to be very wet. The dressing for this one is not a dry dressing, and it's going to be moist. You're going to cook it in the oven for quite a while. So let's just go for right about there. Give that a stir. The breadcrumb, the cornbread, it's going to soak up a lot of that liquid. So let's just keep it going. And then the broth is still hot, by the way. And then the broth is still hot, by the way. So here's what we're looking at. We're looking at a pretty wet, I don't know, you can call this a batter? What would you call this? A pretty wet concoction. A wet, that's kind of where you want it to be at. About that right there. If it makes that sound, you did it right. We used about probably 4 cups of the broth, I guess, to get that done. That's the consistency you want. Now I'm going to take all this chicken that I have here, and I'm going to just kind of dump it right here in the bottom of this pan. And now we're going to spread this chicken out to where it covers a good portion of that. I took some chicken out. It was a little too much for this pan. I want there to be room for some dressing in there too. But you just want a thin layer of chicken down at the bottom. Now that you got that done, I'm going to put the dressing on top of that chicken. Do it carefully so you don't mess up your chicken. All right, that looks good there. I'm going to put it in the oven, 350. We're going to say for a pan this size, let's just start off with 45 minutes first. So 350, 45 minutes. Well, we finally got it out of the oven. It's ready. It's had a chance to cool down just a little bit. Let's cut into it, and I'm going to show you what this is all about. And like I said before, this is not a dry dressing, but it's going to be a moist dressing. And as you can see, it is still piping hot, very hot. From there, you can be able to see the chunks of chicken that I laid down at the bottom. That way, all the dressing's on the top. That's kind of how I like to eat it. And let's see if I can do this without burning myself. I don't think I let it cool down enough, but let's go ahead and give it a try here. Dressing with a piece of chicken. There it is. Woo! The savoriness from the sage, the seasonings, and the good chicken and the broth, also the cornbread. Pretty good stuff. Now this dressing here does not have your typical onions and celery and other kinds of vegetables chopped up into it. It's not that kind of a dressing. It's just a very good, simple chicken and dressing, Southern style. But there it is. Mama's chicken and dressing. Give the recipe a try. Hope you'll enjoy it. Till then, see you next time on Cooking with Dad Before He's Dead. Toodles.